You were sitting in class, bored out of your mind as you were mindlessly tapping your quill on your desk. You had noticed that Remus was not in class, and this had happened multiple times before. You were pretty close friends with Remus, but not as much with the other Marauders. Every time Remus wouldn't show up in class, you would ask the Marauders where he was, and their excuse was always that he was sick. But whenever you would announce that you would go see him at the hospital wing, they would do anything in their power to try to stop you. But today, you were determined to get to the hospital wing to see what was going on with him, because there was no way someone could get sick so often around the same time. This was your last class of the day, so as soon as it was over, you practically sprinted out of the class and headed straight to the hospital wing. Luckily, the Marauders took their time with leaving the classroom, so they didn't notice you bustling out of the room. Once you got there, you slowly opened the doors and saw one bed in the back that had curtains covering it. You cautiously made your way over the bed and opened the curtains. When you got there, you gasped as you saw Remus, causing him to quickly turn himself around and look at you.
Oh my! Remus, what happened to you? Are you alright?
You frantically asked.
YN, what are you doing here?
Remus asked, ignoring the other question.
I wanted to make sure you were alright. I thought you were just sick,
you said quietly as you looked at him. He had many new scars on his face and arms and a few bruises.
Don't worry about me, YN. I'm fine,
he said, brushing it off.
Well, can you at least tell what the
bloody hell happened? He asked again.
Remus sighed. I can't, at least not for now.
You didn't understand why he couldn't tell you, but you definitely weren't going to force him to. So you nodded and sat down on the side of his bed. You looked at him for a moment. Even with all these scars on his face, he still looked undeniably handsome.
I hope you'll get better soon,
you said softly, brushing some of his hair out of his face. Your hand lingered on his face and you felt yourself leaning towards him. He was doing the same, and as soon as your lips met. But as soon as they did, Remus pulled away.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Your eyes widened and many emotions flashed over you. You didn't say a word as you stood up and ran out of the hospital wing, tears falling down your face. You had been waiting for that moment to happen as long as you can remember, and now that it did, he didn't even feel the same way. As you were running off, you accidentally bumped into someone.
Sorry,
you mumbled. You looked up and saw Sirius.
YN, what's wrong with you?
Are you okay? He asked, seeing the tears on your face.
It's nothing, I'm fine,
you said sternly, not waiting for his answer as you went off rushing to your common room. That night, you laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking where you went wrong with Remus. His words kept replaying in your head.
I'm sorry, I can't.
But there was one thing that confused you. Instead of he saying he didn't want it to, he said he couldn't. What did that even mean? What was stopping him from kissing you? You thought over and over your time with him. All the times he was supposedly sick, the times where he would come back to class with more scars on his face, how some days he looked dreadful. It was weird. Then it came to you. How all those times he was feeling unwell, it was around the full moon. How the day he would miss classes, it was the day after the full moon. Could it be? Could it, Remus Lupin, very well be a werewolf? I mean, it all made sense, to be honest. Even that weird nickname he has, Moony, as in the moon. That was probably it. That was probably what was stopping him from wanting to be with me. He must have been afraid to hurt me, both physically and mentally. At least, you hope that was the case. If you were right, you didn't care he was a werewolf. Remus was the sweetest, kindest, most caring person you've ever met. Hell, he even folded his socks. You decided that you would confront him about this tomorrow. You woke up the next day and nervously got dressed, afraid that his confrontation might go wrong, and it turns out he actually just doesn't like you. But you were usually right about these things, so you weren't too worried. As you were walking down the Great Hall, you spotted the marauders of your feet in front of you. "Remus!" you called out. He turned around, and when he saw you, he immediately started to quicken his pace. Taking notice to this, you started running a bit to keep up with his long strides. "Remus!" you called out again. He ignored you and kept walking. Finally, you got close enough to him to grab his wrist, causing him to stop. He slowly turned around, his eyes on the floor. "Remus, look at me," you said softly. He slowly lifted his head and looked into your eyes. "I know. I mean, I think I know you're a werewolf," you whispered, loud enough only for him to hear. His eyes widened. "What? How did you find out? I mean, I understand if you don't want to be friends anymore, or whatever we are at the moment," he said quietly, looking away from you again. "Why wouldn't I want to be friends with you? I'm a monster, YN. I could hurt you. I could hurt you so bad, but I wouldn't even know it. I'm not some cute, fluffy thing. I'm a terrible creature," and you couldn't stand hearing him talk about himself like this, so you lifted his head up and planted a kiss on his lips. He stiffened for a second before melting into it. You were well aware that you were in the middle of the highway with people walking around you guys, but you didn't care. Your time was cut short by the voice of James Potter. "Get some money!" You slowly stepped away from Remus to see not only James, but Sirius and Peter, all of them looking at you and Remus with smirks on their faces. "We should probably run before they start asking us questions," Remus said. "Yeah, good idea." And with that, both of you rushed off, hand in hand, rushing off towards the kitchen to avoid Remus's friends. Hey guys, Strawberry Bone over here. So I noticed that I was doing the Marauders, so I decided, hell, why not finish with Remus Lupin, the one and only. I mean, we already did Sirius, we already did James, so why not do Remus as well? And no, I will not be doing Peter because we do not stand Peter in this household. We do not. But yeah, I found this. It was actually in the same in the same web. How do you call this in Wattpad? Books? Do you call them books? That's what you call them? Well, it was in the same fanfiction as if in the James one. So that was great. I didn't have to do so much research. So I'm so sorry that you didn't get my first reaction reading this, because I literally screamed when I finished it. I literally did. My mom was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Just reading, I'm doing fine." But yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys doing well. I hope you like this. Like always, subscribe, like, and mention in the comments if you want any other character in specific in either the Harry Potter universe or in any other. I don't know. I still do some anime ones, just in case you forgot about that. But yeah, I will get going. I need to start editing. So stay safe around there. Bye guys. Love you.